Good day, everyone, and welcome to Coffee for the Culture, your weekly devotional. So, for this week, we are going to take a look at Colossians 3:23 and 24, which reads as work willingly at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Remember that the Lord will give you an inheritance as your reward, and that the master you are serving is Christ. So, with that, um, I want you to really think about um, this concept of being who you were called to be. So, how I want us to look at this is it's not from a standpoint of being who you were called to be in terms of like what is your purpose in life, what is your calling in life. I want you to look at this from a concept of being who you were called to be in terms of how you are supposed to work each and every day in the things that you do. So, as it says, that you should be working for the Lord, not to satisfy human masters. And then, even again in verse 24, it reminds you as it ends that your master is Christ. So, 3 points I want to highlight for you today are one, working for God in your everyday job and what that looks like, working for God in your hobbies and extracurriculars, and then also working for God in a way that you are truly expressing His love. So, first point here, working for God in your everyday job. Many of us are in roles where we come to work and it feels like we are collecting a paycheck. And for others, it is something that we truly enjoy. It is what we get our degree in. And so it is something that we are really trying to figure out how to manage as we go about our day to day aspects. So as we, move forward with all that we are doing, truly, um, begin to think about how can I serve God better in the work that I do in the workplace. Um, really think about, is it that you need to better connect with people? Is it that you need to be praying as soon as you walk in the office? You need to pray before you go in the office? Do you need to pray over lunch? Do you need to pour some oils on the doorposts and door handles? What is that you need to, play some worship music to set the atmosphere in your office? Like, is it that you just need to have an intentional conversation with a coworker that you have the possibility and probably should be discipling and helping shepherd them and evangelize to them. And so, really think about how can I better work or serve God in my everyday job. So the next point here is really working for God in your hobbies and extracurriculars. So when you leave the workplace or when you are going to those things, maybe you're going to the gym, maybe you're baking, maybe it's something that you are not necessarily getting the majority of your pay for or any pay at all. So how do you serve God in that? How do you use that as a ministry to enhance the kingdom, to bring more people to understanding the glory of God, the goodness of God, and all that He is? It's not something to take for granted. There are skills and talents and things that you are good at each and every day that you can utilize to better serve our Master, our Father in heaven. And lastly, working for God is expressing His love. So right now we're in a time where there are many pandemics going on. There's COVID-19, there's police brutality and racial injustice. There are other injustices against so many different communities and bodies, populations of people right now. That how can you, as a believer, serve God in terms of showing His love? That's what we're supposed to do. In Matthew it tells us what the two greatest commandments are, and so the disciples ask, you know, you know, teachers, like, what are the commandments of the law we're supposed to be looking at? And the first that Jesus says is, "Thou shalt, love the Lord your God." And the second is like, "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." That first one is very important. You know, thou shalt love the Lord thy God. Well, God is love, and if God is love, then we are encapsulated with a love that we need to be showing to other people. And so, how can you use what you do, going back to point one, in your everyday job, or going to point two, in your hobbies and extracurriculars, to show God's love, to serve in such a loving way that people experience Jesus? Now, this verses are in the context of things where Paul was telling um, folks in Christian households how to live. And so that's what I want you to understand, is that as Christians, this is a way we are supposed to live, in terms of doing all of this, all of the work that we do, doing it unto the Lord. Yeah, what I don't want us to forget is the end of that 23rd verse in Colossians, where it talks about that we should be doing this in a way where we are not looking to do this for people. Because at the end of the day, if we serve for people, we're always going to miss out. We are always going to miss out on the goal, always miss out on the point. And so, yes, you want to accomplish things and meet goals and standards set by your supervisor, set by those you might be serving with. But at the end of the day, you really have to understand, what is the standard that was set by our Father in heaven. You see, there's so often throughout our lives, including myself, I could even tell you that I have served for people. I have tried to look, even when I think I'm doing work for the Lord, I'm looking for assurances from people. We look and try to do the things we do. We know we're supposed to say, like, I'm supposed to be a social media influencer, um, and we immediately start looking for the likes, the comments, the everything, which is a part of trying to be an influencer. You need those analytics, but we do it in a way where we lose our faith in God, and we forget that that's why we're doing it. And so that's what we have to understand, is that the work that we do, it's got to be important to us, but we also have to understand it's important to God. And so if God was calling us, would we be able to answer and say, yes, the work I did for you today, the work I did for you this weekend, I served in a way where you are truly getting the glory? There are people that have heard your name, that are, I'm hoping, are willing to experience you. So, to all my brothers and sisters out there, like, what I encourage you to do again is do the work. Do it with full intensity. Do it with excellence. But do it for the Lord. Not for people, but for God. So again, be who you were called to be, which is a child of the Most High, a servant of the kingdom. Yes, you are a royal priesthood. You are, anointed. You are, created by the one true living God. And because of that, we have to remember that the work we do is for Him and not for anybody around us. Don't look for their assurances. Don't look for the praise of people. Look for the inheritance that is going to be coming from God, because that is promised to us. And we know one thing for sure: God's promises are true through and through. Be blessed.
I worship you in the beauty